And with this all in mind as background, you can see why the psalm for today is, surprise, surprise, Psalm 110. The only other place where Melchizedek is mentioned in the Old Testament. If we read the psalm, you'll see it's attributed to David, so it's set during the Davidic kingdom. And in this case, though, what does it say? Psalm 110, verse 4, the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. What does that mean? Well, in context, you remember, from the time of Moses to the time of David, the only people who could be priests were Levites. So at the time of the Exodus from Egypt, although before the Exodus, any member of any tribe of Israel could be a priest, after the sacrifice to the golden calf in Exodus 32, in a sense, God laicizes, he defrocks 11 of the 12 tribes, and he gives the priesthood just to one. It shrinks, and it's only now for anyone who's a member of the tribe of Levi. You have to be a descendant of Aaron, who was a Levite. But then when David comes along, 1,000 years later, around 1000 BC, he starts acting as if he himself is a priest. He offers sacrifice in 2 Samuel chapter 6. In the book of Chronicles, it even says that David's sons were priests. So it's kind of mysterious. What is David doing? He's acting like he's both king and priest. Well, why? Why is he doing that? Well, think about it. What city is David king over? It's Zion. Well, what is Zion? It's Jerusalem. Well, what's Jerusalem? It's Salem. Who was the first king of Salem? Melchizedek. Was he just a king? No, he was both king and priest. So David, when he comes and brings the ark up to Jerusalem, he's acting like he is a new kind of priest, or actually an old kind of priest. He's in a sense restoring the priesthood, not after the order of Levi. That's a later thing at Moses' time, but after the order of Melchizedek. And unlike the priest of Levi, who only served for a few decades, the priest of Melchizedek is going to be a priest forever. Right? Now, that all falls apart, and the temple gets destroyed within a few hundred years, and the monarchy falls apart. I mean, it all kind of crumbles. But David is an anticipation of another priest king in Jerusalem, who will also restore the priesthood to all 12 tribes. And it's not going to be a Levitical priesthood. It's going to be a Melchizedekian priesthood. And that priest is, of course, Jesus Christ, who will come to Jerusalem at the end of his life as the true king of righteousness, who will gather 12 apostles who represent the 12 tribes around him. And unlike those 12 tribes who were laicized in the book of Exodus, Jesus is going to ordain them. He's going to consecrate them. In Luke chapter 22, as the Lord covenanted a kingdom to me, so I covenant to you, that you might sit on 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And he takes bread and he takes wine. He identifies it as his body and his blood. And then in Luke, he says, do this in remembrance of me. He commands the 12 to offer a sacrifice of his body and blood, and thereby constitutes them priests. Not after the order of Levi, but according to the order of Melchizedek. Because Jesus is the new Melchizedek. He's the new and the true King of righteousness, the King of Jerusalem. And if you have any doubts, what kind of sacrifice does he offer in Jerusalem? It's bread and wine. Unbloody sacrifice of bread and wine in thanksgiving for the victory over his enemies, which are not earthly kings, Sodom and Gomorrah, but the principalities and powers of the darkness, right? Over the angelic powers of the kingdom of Satan, with which Jesus is at war throughout the gospel account of his public ministry.